Kids Next Door was among the greatest Cartoon Network shows of the early 2000s, and it ran for 6 good seasons with more than 80 episodes in total. It was an American animated television series for both the younger and older generations, and was about a group of 5 children who operated from a high-tech treehouse, and were responsible for fighting against adult and teenage tyranny using advanced technology and their code names instead of their actual names. It was pretty weird and fun at the same time, and today we are going to remember the legendary characters in the show, from the protagonists to the villains, then later get to see the people who voiced these iconic characters, who they are and what they've done after the show, and how old they've actually gotten after all these years. We start with number 1, who went by the name Nigel Uno, and was the bald British leader and head operative of the Sector V. He was a tactical genius and a hardworking workaholic who rose to be one of the greatest Kids Next Door operatives to ever exist. He takes his position and responsibilities very seriously, and would sometimes go to missions alone when the other agents were not present. He had that sweet English accent, maybe because his parents were from England. This dude would miss vacation days to go to missions, and this was one of the reasons he was elected as the leader, and another reason being that he was considered to be the only one with common sense in his whole team. Number 1, voiced by Benjamin Diskin, a professional voice actor from the United States. Number 5 was another intelligent member of the Kids Next Door. Her real name was Abigail Lincoln, and was the second in command after number 1. She was trained by her older sister number 11, and after number 11 betrayed the team, she replaced her and went on to be one of the greatest spies the team has ever had. She was a slender African-American girl who always wore a red cap that was given to her by her sister Cree, aka number 11. She was so calm and responsible throughout her appearance, and was also the book-smart character in the group. And even though she was a girl, she was very tomboyish and did not appear to have interest in anything girly, and was often seen wearing tuxedos rather than dresses. An intelligent member of the group voiced by the famous Cree Summer, who is an African-American Canadian actress and voice actress, and is a legend known for her roles in very many animated TV shows and cartoons like The Rugrats and The Legend of Korra. Kuki Sambin was the number 3 in the group, and was a happy, fun-loving 10-year-old Japanese-American girl who was in charge of diversionary tactics, and was also the medical specialist of Sector V. She was the youngest in the group, and due to her age, she had a short attention span, meaning it was hard for her to pay attention for a long duration. And due to her Japanese heritage, she always spoke with a slight Asian accent. She was a kind and sweet girl, who was also very patient and gentle with everyone. When annoyed, she could scream at a deafening volume, and was also known to be a lover of stuffed animals. This girl was voiced by Lauren Tom, who is an American actress and voice actress that also made appearances in The Last Airbender and in the sitcom called Friends, and is now a mother to one son named Oliver Kaplan. Now to number 4, known as Wallaby Beetles, who was the very well-known impulsive hand-to-hand combatant. He was an Australian boy who belonged in Sector V, and was also the shortest member of the group. He had a huge crush on Kuki Sambin, and she also shared the feeling, but no one wanted to make the first move. He was the bravest and the toughest, fiercest, wildest, most dangerous, and inarguably the best fighter in the group. And if that was not enough, he was also a hot-headed, arrogant, and ignorant member who wanted to become the leader of Sector V. But his attitude was what was holding him back. Even as the most arrogant member, he valued his friendship with his teammates and would do all he could to be there for them. He was voiced by D. Bradley Baker, who we have discussed a number of times already, and we can remember him from the voices of animals like Naga and Appa in Avatar. There was this weird vigilante known as Nightbrace, who was an orally themed villain that was known for attacking children at night and forcefully performed painful and unnecessary dental procedures on them. He appeared so many times throughout the series, and was a former candy salesman who stopped selling sweets and candy and got addicted to dental hygiene. He was always seen wearing a dark purple-blue costume with a tooth on the front and a large halo-shaped retainer. His weapon was a large toothbrush which he carried around, and some purple gloves that could shoot out a stream of toothpaste. One of the funniest-looking villains voiced by the great Tom Kenny, who is SpongeBob all through, and is an American voice actor who has appeared in more than 80% of the early 2000s cartoons. Fanny Fulbright was the head of the decommissioning and the global tactical officer of the Kids Next Door. She was number 86 and was of Irish ethnicity. And as the head decommissioner, her job was to hunt down all operatives that turned 13 years old and decommission them. No one could outrun her task, and was one of the most talented huntress in the show. She was voiced by Jennifer Hale, a Canadian actress and voice actress of both cartoon characters and gaming avatars like in Metal Gear Solid and Overwatch. Count Spankulate was another weird antagonist. He was a vampire who disciplined those that committed wrongdoings, mostly children, and could break into their homes at night and spank them. Sometimes he never found anyone who committed immoral deeds, so he would just spank other kids who didn't commit any wrong, and this was what made him a villain. He always believed that spanking others was his calling, and was actually very passionate about his work. Voiced by Darren Norris, an American voice actor who has appeared in more than 400 films during his splendid career. King Sandy was a young boy who thought that he was a king, and just like Wallaby Beetles, he had a crush on Kooky Sanbin. His main goal in his life was to marry Kooky, and was a wannabe leader with swordsmanship skills. He committed a lot of crimes, example like blackmail, assault, and attempt forced marriage to Kooky, which inevitably failed. It was the famous James Arnold Taylor who voiced him, and can also be remembered for voicing Johnny in Johnny Test and his role as Ratchet in the Ratchet and Clank franchise. Another character was Sticky Beard, who was one of the major antagonists in the show. He was a pirate that loved eating candy, and some of the candy would stick on his bushy beard, hence his name. He mostly targeted the kids next door due to their large stash of candy, and just like any other antagonist, he was a mean and cunning guy who was also very treacherous and loathsome. He disliked the kids next door because he always saw them as a major competition to candy, and was a well-known archenemy of number 5. A villain voiced by Mark Hamill, who is the most well-known Luke Skywalker in the Star Wars franchise and also voiced most Joker characters in DC animations. Mr. Boss was a corrupt corporate executive who was the arch-enemy of Sector V. He disliked kids, and was a very large man with a bald head and an oversized cigar in his mouth. He was known to be a greedy and corrupt businessman who loved money more than he loved kids. And though kids were not his cup of tea, he was shown to love and adore his very own kids, and would do anything to protect them. Jeff Bennett did his best voicing this villain, and can also be heard giving his best in voicing Dexter's dad in Dexter's Lab and Johnny Bravo. Married since 1988, Jeff is now blessed with one kid. Mushy Sanbin was the evil younger sister of number 3. She was very childish and overly happy just like her sister, but beneath her outward personality, she had a sinister character who was so evil and dark. Monty Uno, whose real name was Montgomery Wigglestein, was the father of number 1, and we later learnt that he was number 0 when he was a kid. He was also the founder of the Kids Next Door organization, and was just an old man who loved spending quality with his son. And finally Grandma Stuff'em, who was a villainous old lady obsessed with force-feeding her disgusting food to children to make them fat, and was a lady with a heavy German accent. She commanded an army of living food that aggressively fed itself to kids, and was an evil and one of the most dangerous villains in the show.